a stretched shoulder, as he described it to Matt before we got on to actually get started with the racing. Now, he's got a bit of a history of shoulder injuries, the Northumbrian guy, so I just wonder how much he means a stretched shoulder. I know how brave some of you boys can be, James Hayden. Some of you lads can get out there and the adrenaline can override the discomfort from injuries, and it'll be interesting to see how Gowland manages across 18 laps of what is a fairly physical track.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's so tight and twisty. It'll obviously be a lot less physical in these sort of conditions. You can see how slippy it is. You can see the wet coming off the tyres. But look at that. Already you can see it just starting to get breaking up in a few places. The sun's actually just doing a little bit here.
So off on their 2 warm-up laps, because the track is so extremely short. The warm-up laps 2 in number rather than the usual one. The field, as we've already seen from the lads dipping around in and out to going back down the field, is very, very mixed and match after having that wet session this morning. Glenn Irwin, the former Irish Supersport champion, he was twice Irish Supersport champion in 2009 and 2010. Of the Irwin motorcycle racing family, of course, his dad Alan, the record holder of the most race wins in Irish road racing, over 500 race wins.
Wow.
And Glenn himself, a training partner of Alistair Seeley's. They're both Carrick-Fergus families, and they very much trained together and have grown up together, really. Number 5, Graham Gowland. What can he do from the middle of the front row of the grid? The number 5 machine riding this year for the Smiths Triumph on the 675 triple. And his teammate Billy McConnell, of course, buried way down in the pack. He and Alistair Seeley, as Seeley so quaintly put it, parked up together on about row 5. What do you think of their chances from back there, James? They've got 18 laps to pick their way through in these conditions.
Well, they've got to get good launches off the line. They've got to get into that first turn well. But if they can do that, sweep round the outside, you know, just really pick your moments, then they should be okay.
So the grid, we've lost 2 riders, of course, to injury. Glenn Irwin, Graham Gowland, Luke Stapleford on the front row of the grid. The second row headed by Luke Jones and Luke Hedger. We've lost Luke Mossey with a dislocated shoulder, so Alex Olsen moves onto the second row of the grid. The third row headed by Paul Curran and his Triumph ahead of Callan Cooper and Jake Dixon. Sam Coventry front row 4 from Bjorn Estment, and then up moves John Dean because Dean Hipwell has also fallen and put himself out of this race. The bracket E means that these guys, James, are in the Evo class, which is kind of a halfway house between Superstock 600 and a full-on Super Sport bike.
Yeah, it is. You know, they're allowed to sort of skim the heads and a little bit of porting, but basically, apart from that, it's pretty much a super stock bike. So they reckon you can build one for just a couple of £1,000 more than a super stock bike, and it will, you know, it's a great class for people to get into. Top one of the Evo bikes is Alex Olsen in 7th.
So on pole position, look at that, what has someone blown up already? On pole position then, number 69, angled for the apex of Paddock Hill Bend, is Glenn Irwin, the former Irish Supersport champion. Finished 9th in British Supersport over the last 2 seasons, and in 2011, of course, behind his fellow Ulsterman Keith Farmer, he finished 2nd in the National Superstock 600 Championship. They're off. This is the Motorpoint British Supersport Championship, elbow to elbow down the hill into Paddock Hill Bend, and the brave Irishman looks like he's going to just nick it off pole position after going elbow to elbow. Massive. Wow, what a save. Whoa. What a massive save going down Paddock Hill Bend. Someone has managed to keep it upright from the most unlikely of positions. That was the closest to a major high side you could possibly see without it happening. Intermediate then, Irwin Gowland and Luke Jones has made a lightning fast start as well. Luke Jones riding his traditional number 82, the Herefordshire boy on the Acumen Industrial Services Triumph, ahead of Luke Hedger, Jake Dixon. Sam Coventry's made a good start ahead of Olsen. McConnell and Seeley are already through to 8th and 9th places. And it might have been Luke Stapleford who actually had that massive moment dropping down the hill into Paddock.
Yeah, the problem is the tyres were cold there. You drop away, it drops down. He was just getting on the power a bit too much. Massive moment, spat him out of the seat. But back at the front, look at this. Graham Irwin, and there you can see Graham Gowland right behind him. And as you say, Luke Jones there on the white bike in 3rd position. A good start from the second row from him.
Do you know, I was expecting me to make that mistake, James Hayden. Graham Irwin being the motocross riding brother of Glenn Irwin. Glenn Irwin at the front, second place for Graham Gowland. Third, oh yeah, I see where you got the Graham from now. Third place for Jones, and then Jake Dixon has made a terrific start as well. He is right up in the mix in the white helmet in fourth place.
Yeah, it's lovely to see Jake Dixon up there. Obviously, James had a good chat with him on the line. Really nice lad. You know, son of Dan Dixon, who was just awesome on a motorcycle, and doing a really good job at the moment, the youngster. Spoke to him early, and he said, I'm just a bit nervous of these early laps, but he's doing it all right at the moment. Very, very good job warming up, and it looks like he might even go for a move up the inside of here into paddock. Not quite close enough on that lap, but you can see him eyeing it up. So it's good stuff from him on the Yamaha there in fourth. Fastest lap.
Fastest lap for Dixie Dixon as he comes up the hill to Druids, tucked right in behind the white machine of the Herefordshire boy, former 125 GP national champion Luke Jones.
And I'll tell you something that is impressive as well. Look at the man in fifth, Alex Olsen. He's the top Evo bike. So the man who's just in the back of this picture, just there he is there with the yellow front number plate, number 11. That's the top Evo bike. So these rules working well at the moment.
Alex Olsen, the 21-year-old there as we check out the start. Terrific start, by the way, for number 90, Sam Coventry, but he's gone down at Surtees.
Now, watch the bike, number 4 in your picture, the black bike on the inside. Watch his back wheel now. Whoa, let's look at that. That is what he just did. So, did he actually... Oh, he did keep it going. Good, because we got out of our picture, but, you know, it's... That was an amazing save there.
He's 27th and last at the moment, not surprisingly.
Fastest lap of the race for the man in fifth, Alex Olsen on the Evo bike. So a great lap from that man there.
Olsen, the 21-year-old student and part-time gardener, if you like, as he tries to make. He was actually riding the Haribo Starmix Triumph last year, and Alex Olsen, but didn't show this kind of form. Perhaps it's just experience coming through for the lad whose great-great-grandpa was actually a Norwegian.
Yeah, now you can see Irwin's, I think, the pace is just slowed a fraction because they really are concertinaing up here. And I think that you're going to see Gowland's going to be quite desperate to see if he can make a move here. He's setting himself up. He's going to have a look up the inside, but we've seen Irwin is late on the brakes into paddock. Is he late enough? Not on this lap. Gowland goes through, and I think he needs to do that. And you can see how tight it is, but there's some good grip out there.
Glenn Irwin had to really sit up to avoid contact there, and he dives straight back underneath. And that is a pretty strong move up the hill into Druids and back to the front. And Geeling Kawasaki doesn't certainly lack any ponies here. And look at Alex Olsen, now right up in fifth place. Fastest lap on the track. Again, 54.67 for number 11 on that lap.
Yeah, that's right. That's a lovely ride from Alex Olsen there. He's closed them in. He's the first man into the 54s. Fastest lap of the race again. But it is quite hard to pass him in places, so you've got to pick your moment. You've got to get out of this corner clearways well, because the best place to park is the turn 1 paddock, okay? So it means you've got to have a good drive out of here. And Alex Olsen will probably lose a little bit to the proper Supersport bikes there, but no one can do anything on that lap. And again, you can see Luke Jones in third. He's looking, you've got them all. They're all hungry lads, and they're all after a win.
Fastest lap on that lap into 7th place. Alistair Seeley, shadowed by Billy McConnell, 7th and 8th on the track at the moment. But look at this battle going on. No, there's some terrific speed from the man at the front, Glenn Irwin, on the Geeling Kawasaki. He's certainly got the drive along the Brabham Straight, but look at this, along the bottom straight. Here comes Graham Gowland and squeezes past on the entrance to Surtees, tips right into McLaren's, and then he'll come through clearways into the Clark curve, and he gets sat up in no uncertain terms once again by Glenn Irwin.
Yeah, and Alex Olsen also, he dived up the inside of Dixon into to clearways, so that Alex Olsen moves up into 4th.
So 21-year-old Alex Olsen, number 11, from Cooling near Rochester, as we see a move there from Luke Jones. Jones moves through now, past Graham Gowland into 2nd place.
And look at Alistair Seeley, what's he done? It's actually, sorry, I beg your pardon, it's Luke Hedger. It's Luke Hedger on the 2nd gear. There he is. It's Luke Hedger on the 2nd Geeling Kawasaki. Teammate to Irwin, who's leading. It's him who's sneaking up, and it's him who's just put the fastest lap in at 154.4. That's the double move there.
So that move by Glenn Irwin also allowed Luke Jones to lever his way past Graham Gowland. Gowland now back to third place. He'll be feeling the breath of Dixie Jake Dixon right behind him there with that distinctive red front mudguard shield.
And look at this. This is why we wanted to bring you the sprint race here on Eurosport, because every week we get races like this. Fantastic stuff. And look at Luke Jones, trying at the last moment, pulls out a paddock and he goes through to lead it for the first time. Oh, bit of a moment there from Gowland as well, just as he tapped on the throttle of paddock.
So Luke Jones, number 82, has now moved to the front. Jones, a 25-year-old Herefordshire boy, a very quiet, unassuming lad, leads the way. Could this would be, I suspect, his first victory he's finished third here at Brands Hatch in British Supersport back in 2012. Luke Jones twice third in the last race of the season here at Brands Hatch. As we look at number 34, Alistair Seeley, fastest lap so far on the Martrain Yamaha, and he is closing up now on the reigning Superstock 600 champion Luke Hedger.
Yeah, he is. These guys are just catching him hand over fist these last couple of laps. Seeley has done so well. Remember, he was 15th on the grid, and he's managed to get through pretty good. Billy McConnell, who was next to him, didn't get through quite so good, and he's another sort of 3 seconds back on these guys.
McConnell in 8th, ahead of Callan Cooper in 9th place. Bjorn Estmont, the South African, runs 10th.
And that's a lovely lap from Luke Jones, a 54 flat, fastest lap of the race. So Luke Jones just starting to stretch that pack out. And look at the dry line starting to cut through in play. Oh,
we got a faller.
Oh, well missed.
Was that Gowland again?
That is Gowland.
Oh, Graham, one thing you had to do, as you said yourself, was to stay upright and score some points. And that's been a big prang as well.
That looked like Dean. I think that might have been 134 Dean. Who's currently running 12th.
John Dean, the Scotsman from Hike on the John Dean Racing Suzuki. He'd qualified well, but Gowland will be disappointed with that. He bumped himself about a little bit more.
No, this, oh, God.
Oh, wow, that was unpleasant. He must have been able to feel that coming, James Hayden.
Yeah, that was horrible. Look at the fourth bike in the picture.
Oh, Gowland. Gee, and of course he's going to bounce on a shoulder. Hedger did well to avoid his bike.
They all did well, but what happened now? I just pointed out that dry line. It dries and then it goes down just on that last bit, and that's the bit that bit him. And you know, this as it starts to cut through, it is a very difficult condition. Back at the front, what have we got? We got Jones, we got Irwin, we got Dixon, and behind them we've got Olsen. Look at the gap they pulled out. Actually, these guys all broke into the 53s for the first time, so that's where this gap's come from.
All of these lads are gunning for their first ever win in a British Supersport race, James.
Yeah, brilliant.
And I think they'll all be rather keen to achieve that on their CV.
Yeah, they will. They got 7 laps left, and yeah, the pace is definitely hotting up. They've dropped Olsen, they've dropped Hedger and Seeley, partly, obviously, probably because of the Gowland crash as well, but also because these guys have just raised the bar a notch.
Notice that Dixon's riding for the Macadam Appleyard Racing team on that distinctive silver Yamaha with the red front end.
Yeah, and also, what have we got? We got a Triumph, we got a Kawasaki, and we got a Yamaha in the top 3. Brilliant.
And there's still there on the Evo bike running in 4th place is Alex Olsen. Luke Hedger, number 2, just behind him. Then the threatening figure of Seeley on the blue and white Yamaha there in 6th place. So we've now got these 2 separate battles of 3 here. The 11th lap of 18. So that's just about 2/3 race distance. A 3-way battle featuring Jones, Irwin and Dixon. Who could have forecast that? And there is the American boy, Rispoli, in number 43, running in 11th place in a battle with Dan Cooper, making his return to the championship. And just behind him, we've got the second of the Evo bikes, number 95, David Allingham, on the IN Competition Racing Yamaha.
Yeah,
Luke Stapleford making a move through. He's on the fringe of the points. He's now 16th after that massive moment on the opening lap at Paddock Hill Bend. So an impressive ride by number 8, Luke Stapleford.
Yeah, he would have been in the hunt. He would have been in the hunt for sure. He's been one of the fastest riders all weekend, dominated the dry sessions. So very unlucky with that moment, but did well to save it. Back at the front.
To the front. Glenn
Irwin takes the lead.
Breaking into Druids, Irwin covers his line from the white, I was looking for the white ghostly figure there of Jones in second place, Dixon right behind him in contrasting black in third, and then Olsen Seeley now past Hedger into fifth. Hedger squeezed back to sixth place, McConnell seventh. And this is the battle at the front, and this is going to go right to the wire because no one so far has been able to get away. And as soon as I say that, Irwin opens up a colossal 5-length. Oh hell, we've now got back markers.
Yeah. And back markers are so critical on this track. They make so much difference. If you can just nip one in the wrong place, if he can get one of these guys into paddock and the other guys can't, and it looks like that's exactly what he'll do, that could be. Look at Jones round the outside on the damn patch. He's having a go. They are carving through.
That'll be the most exciting moment in the life of those two just then. And look at the opportunity it gave Jake Dixon on the Appleyard Macadam Yamaha. He closed right up at that point.
Yeah, he did really well there. They all just were so hungry. They knew it could make the difference between winning or losing here. Look at Dixon as well, coming up the inside. Is it? Oh, not quite. You've got to be careful into here. But he did well.
I love the way Jake Dixon, when James Whittam asked him if his dad Darren ever told him, I'd offered him advice and told him about his own racing career. He said, oh, please don't get him started, we'll be here all day. Number 69 leads the way. Talking about Whittam, the old James Whittam racing number is number 69. Glenn Irwin has chopped again into Paddock Hill Bend by Luke Jones. Very confident, the Welsh boy, as he drops into there.
He is. He actually went a little bit wide there, but managed just to keep it on line. But Irwin is so good into here.
But he protected his line. Jones just moved across early, but he ran wide on the exit, and that gave Irwin the opportunity he wanted.
Yeah, so Irwin's back in the front, doing a great job, all these three, to have put this sort of gap in, and the boys behind them, some big names. As Jack said, none of these guys have ever won a British Championship Supersport race before, and it means everything to them. And what a way to start your season as well. There's nothing like winning one of the first races of the year, here at Brands Hatch. I've done it, and it just feels great, and it sets you up for a brilliant season.
Glenn Irwin's nickname is the Tiger. I think you can safely say he's riding a pretty tigerish race here. If anybody's got past him, he's gone straight back at them wherever he could. Alex Olsen, riding a terrific race, is still fending off the former champion Alistair Seeley in that conspicuous orange helmet. This the battle at the front once again. Irwin leads the way again. We have a couple of back markers coming up with just a couple of laps remaining.
Yeah, and it's, again, they're going to, whereabouts, they're not going to hit them. They might just get them on this next straight, or no. To be had here if you can make it work for you.
And the first guy they'll come up on, I think, is number 97, the Geordie boy, Josh Corner. And, of course, he's involved in his very own battle with Ben Field, number 14. Oh, big moment for Luke Jones.
That might give Dixon the chance to get past him as well. One of them moves out the way, and Irwin manages to do them both. So does Jones. Does the other guy? No! Oh.
Well done, Jake. That was a brave 18-year-old move, wasn't it? He thought, I've got to get through now. I have the chance. We're on the penultimate lap. We
are. Irwin doing everything right at the front here, but Jones and Dixon just tracing his every step.
John strong on the brakes, closing the gap on the Galen Kawasaki down the hill there. But has he got the sheer oomph as he comes out of the turn on the number 82 Triumph 675 triple? They have not got long left now. You can see Jones has got to, and Dixon, they've got to stay on Irwin's tail out of here if they want a chance of passing, because this is your best chance. Irwin's got out beautifully on that lap as well. Held his advantage. What's going to happen as we come down into paddock? He covers his line a bit. Jones has got to make that move. Oh, Irwin's so late in the brakes, he's going to run wide.
No. Perfect.
Anyone could win this one. Now, this is vital. Up Halewood Hill, into Druids. They've fought out 3 abreast. Jake Dixon tries to take a look. There isn't enough room. Jones, this time, can't afford to run wide. He almost does. Oh, a big moment. Jake Dixon took it really tight. He was trying to feel his way through on the inside, possibly just touched the curb, and that flicked the 18-year-old local lad off. And now it's a straight battle between Glenn Irwin and Luke Jones. One of them is about to take his first victory in British Supersport. Surely it's going to be the Gearlink Kawasaki, the orange and green Kawasaki takes the lead, takes the advantage, holds the advantage. Glenn Irwin has finally taken victory in British Supersport ahead of the former 125 GP and Triumph Triple Champion Luke Jones. And across the line, Alistair Seeley just gets the better, I think, of number 11, Alex Olsen, with Luke Bushy-Hedger rounding out a happy session for this gang in the Gearlink Kawasaki camp, 1st and 5th. And I'm sorry I made such a nonsense of that finish. I couldn't remember my colours.
Well, tell you what, well done firstly, Glenn Irwin. Fantastic stuff for him. Here's the man we were worried about, Jake Dixon. He did not deserve that. He has ridden brilliantly. And what happened on that last lap? He just tried to squeeze up the inside of Jones coming out of Druids. Now you watch. Now this is. He's just got it on, he's a bit wider, but it actually started, look at that, before then. Luckily he's all right, but it was all because he just tried to squeeze outside Druids a fraction before that. He was on the white line, it made him go a fraction wider, caught the damp patch, and he still wanted to win, bless him. He's a young man trying to do his best, so unlucky Dixon, but well done Irwin Jones. And Seeley, can you believe Seeley works his way from 15th to grab 3rd on the line. Well done Alex Olsen as well. Great stuff for him. Top E though in 4th spot.
Fantastic result for Glenn Irwin, 24 years old now, the Tiger from Carrickfergus, whose hobbies include golf, fishing and motocross. Of course, his brother Graham, very much a top-line motocrosser. Glenn Irwin takes victory then in the Motorpoint British Supersport Championship. The opening round, the first sprint race of the season, goes to Gearlink Kawasaki, ahead of Luke Jones and his Triumph, Alistair Seeley's Martrain Yamaha, Alex Olsen's Triumph, Luke Hedger on the 2nd Gearlink Kawasaki runs 5th, with Billy McConnell on the Smith's Triumph in 6th place. 7th for the Isle of Man's Callan Cooper ahead of Bjorn Estmont. Sam Hornsey, the Shropshire boy, comes through to 9th place ahead of Dan Cooper's Kawasaki. 11th place for Rispoli on his debut in a first full season on the Suzuki. Luke Stapleford in 12th place. What a recovery after that massive moment at the start, with David Allingham on the Evo Yamaha ahead of Josh Daly, and Juha Kalliof, the Finn on his Suzuki, grabs that last championship point ahead of Whitaker, Taylor McKenzie, Benfield, Paul Curran and the unfortunate Jake Dixon. The championship standings look like this. 25 points for a win for Glenn Irwin. Luke Jones on 20 points for 2nd place. Alistair Seeley has enriched himself with 16 points for the hard-ridden 3rd place ahead of Alex Olsen. 13 points for 4th. Hedger in 5th gets 11 points, and then 1 point differences for McConnell on 10. 7th for Callan Cooper ahead of Estmont, Sam Hornsey. Dan Cooper gets 6 points for a 10th place ahead of Rispoli's 5th. I beg your pardon, 11th place, 5 points. Luke Stapleford gets 4, David Allingham 3, 14th place for Josh Daly on 2, and Kallio, the last place, 1 point.